Hello everyone, today we're working on a 2005 Dodge Ram Cummins 2500 and we're going to be doing a transmission fluid change and a flush. And the transmission's a 48 RE transmission. It's a 4-speed automatic, and the kit that I have today is a ATP. And with the ATP kits, they come with a filter, and this particular kit, there's two different designs on the transmission pan, so they send both gaskets. And these gaskets are kind of nice because everywhere that there's one of these tabs, they have a hole that's a little smaller. And what that does, that when you push it through the pan, your bolt gets held right there in that on that gasket so that it don't fall out, and it keeps your pan gasket in place. So I kind of like that feature about it. And the fluid we'll be using today is the Amsoil synthetic ATF, multi-vehicle ATF. It's a chemically engineered synthetic. It will run 20 to 50 degrees cooler than petroleum-based oils and give you much longer transmission life and a lot smoother shifting. Here's a spec sheet on the Amsoil synthetic ATF, the signature series. And first thing I want to show you here is there's two different ones here listed on this page. One is this red one is the older formulation, multi-vehicle synthetic ATF. And then the blue bag here, this one right here, is it's a low viscosity, fuel efficient synthetic ATF, and that's what most of your newer transmissions are going to call for. The thing about this chemically engineered synthetic is it reduces the operating temperature of your transmission by 20 to 50 degrees over petroleum-based fluids, and the life of the fluid is significantly longer as well. As you drop that temperature out of that transmission, all the soft parts inside last a whole lot longer. All the seals, all the piston seal rings. As you drop the heat by 20 to 50 degrees, the life of those soft components goes up significantly, and that extends your transmission life. And as an example, we have a taxi fleet, severe service taxi fleet field trial. This was in Las Vegas. What they did is they run the Amsoil for 180,000 miles in the transmission, and they selected the transmission to tear apart and see how everything looked. And what you're seeing here is the synthetic Amsoil, even after 180,000 miles, contained 83% of its original oxidation inhibitors. And you can see the valve body here looks absolutely beautiful. The clutches, again, they're clean, very little signs of wear on them, very good condition. This is the kind of protection in the desert heat of Las Vegas that the Amsoil provides. So one of the best ways to extend the life of your transmission is through the use of that Amsoil Signature Series ATF. As we go down to this next sheet here, it gives you all the specifications, all the ASTM specifications here on the two products. The ATF is the older formulation. The ATL is the low viscosity right here. So as we go to the specifications, here's the applications for the older ATF. And this is just part of them. The rest of it's at the top of the other page. I'll show you that here. Right here is the remainder of the specs for that older ATF. And then right here is the specifications for the low viscosity ATF for most of the newer transmissions. So this gives you all the specifications for that fluid, and it shows you significantly how much better that performs than the regular fluids out there. If you want to extend the life of your automatic transmission, this chemically engineered synthetic Signature Series Amsoil is the best way to do it. This is my fluidcapacity.com website. There's two blue buttons here. One's for Auto Light Truck Fluid Lookup Guide. The other one's for Power Sports Fluid Lookup Guide. And we'll click on that one. And that will take you to this page. You can enter in your year of your vehicle. This is a 2005. And we'll hit the Build List button. Brings up all the vehicles A to Z. And we're looking at Dodge trucks. And we're Ram 2500, 5.9 turbo diesel. And over here it gives you all the fluids that it recommends in all the different cavities. And we're looking at a 48 RE transmission, automatic transmission. And it's a Signature Series multi-vehicle synthetic tranny fluids that we'll be using. And you scroll down a little further here, it gives you transfer case, differentials, what it recommends. Power steering fluid, brake fluid. Then we get into the oil filters, engine, air, fuel, transmission. And you go down a little further, it gives you any chassis lubrication points, how many there are.
And here's the capacities. Gives you the engine cooling system. This automatic transmission, the initial fill is 4 quarts. The total fill is just shy of 17 quarts. So this gives you a lot of the information you need that you can't find in your owner's manual. If you go to the top of the page up here, you can print that off for each one of your vehicles.
So the first thing we're going to do is the pan does not have a drain plug on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to remove the cooler line coming back from the cooler in front of the radiator, and I'm going to start it up. I'm going to pump out as much of the old fluid as I can, and what that'll do is save me from the mess when you go to pull the pan down over the front of the pan, because we can suck most of that fluid out of that pan and have it out of the way. So we're going to show you how to do that. That's the first thing we're going to do, is pump down some of that fluid, and then we'll remove the pan and get started changing the filter. So we'll be back with you. Okay, right here at the back of the tranny on the driver's side, this is the return from the cooler going back into the transmission. We're going to take that line off right there. And the thing I didn't mention when we started, this transmission and truck has 415,000 miles on it. The guy that's had me do the flush, his dad bought the truck brand new. So this tranny's got a lot of miles on it. I don't know how it made it this long being a Dodge, but here we are. So we're going to take this off, and we're going to pump down the fluid. Make sure I get the right size wrench here, and I don't. Okay, the big wrench is a 15/16, the small one's a 3/4. And before you take this loose, if there's any dirt or crap around there, get it all cleaned up. I already cleaned this up with a wire brush, and I sprayed it down with some ether to get rid of all the dirt. Okay. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to pump this down, because right now the fluid level is probably up in this area, and when I go to take this pan off, it's going to be running all over the place. So if I can start the vehicle up and pump it down, it'll just save me a lot of mess. Just simplifies everything. Now the hose I'm going to be using, this is a 1/2-inch OD tube. So the hose I'm using is a 1/2-inch heater hose, 1/2-inch ID heater hose. And it'll slip right over the end of that tube really nice, and then I can go to my drain pan. Come on, there she comes. You're a stubborn one. Kind of wants to go hard all the way for me. There it is. And you can tell that fluid ain't no cherry red anymore. Okay, we'll take our hose. Slide it right over there just like that. That'll stay put. Now another thing, when you go to start it, you want to make sure that the transmission's in neutral. And the reason being, Dodge and all their infinite wisdom, when you put this in park, it has no flow through the cooler. Okay, so you have to pull it. It either has to be in gear, and in our case we want it in neutral. And we can start it up in neutral and we'll have flow through the cooler. And we're going to go until, if it starts sputtering, then what it's going to do is if it starts to sputter oil out of the hose, it's getting to the bottom of the pan. It means you need to shut it off. So go ahead and start it up. Flow is starting to slow down there, and we got quite a bit of it out. Okay, so from here we're going to take this hose off, and then I'm going to clean up all around this pan because it's a mess around that pan. Take a wire brush and a blowgun. I'm going to knock all that crap loose around that pan before I take anything loose. I'm going to pop this line back on so I don't get anything in that line. And then we're going to go ahead and pull that pan off and get that all cleaned out. Okay, I've got a little stainless steel toothbrush here. That's what I use for cleaning up around differential covers and these tranny covers when I'm working on them. Main reason I want to get this dirt off there from around there is when I go back together, I don't want any of that falling in my pan after everything's all nice and clean. So go around and get as much of that crap loose as I can, and then I'll take the blowgun and blow it out of the way. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take all the bolts out. Okay, I left one in the back and one in the front. I'm going to take that front one out first. Okay. That works a lot better. There's still some fluid in there, but not a lot, so I don't have nearly the mess. Okay. Now, next step, I got to get the tools to take down the filter. It's got a couple screws holding it in, so we'll get that and be back with you. Okay, there's two bolts up here. They're a Torx head. They're a T25, and we'll take those down. Okay, we'll set the gasket aside, tranny pan or tranny filter aside, and dump out the rest of what's in that pan. You can see that fluid didn't look too great. Then we're going to take that magnet out and get it cleaned up, and you can see why I take off the pan. There's a lot of dirt load down in there. You can kind of see it on my finger. It's all down in those grooves. That's all wear. It's either wear metals or all clutch material that's worn off the clutches. Okay, the bottom side of this pan says something here. It says use reusable gasket, and there's the part number for it. And the gasket I had took off was a reusable one. It looks to be pliable and in good shape yet, so I'm going to reuse it. You all have to decide if you want to reuse the one that's on it that you have, or if you want to get a new one. So we got the magnet all cleaned up, put that back in its place, and we've got the filter here. And we're about ready to put that back up and in. So we'll start with the transmission filter, show you that procedure, and then we'll put the pan up. Okay, I want to clean up this gasket area here before we go up with the tranny filter and the pan. And I'm going to take a sharp gasket scraper around, make sure you don't gouge the aluminum. If there's any pieces along the edge like you see up here, just knock them off so they don't fall into the pan. You go back in. Okay, ready to put that filter up. It's a T25. These little bolts there, they get torqued to 35 inch-pounds of torque. And that pan bolts, they get 125 inch-pounds, which is about 10 to 11 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and put all these bolts in, and we're going to torque them. Then we'll fill the transmission up and get ready to do the flush. Okay, we added about 10 quarts of the Amsoil Signature Series multi-vehicle ATF. We're going to put this half-inch ID heater hose back on this line coming from the cooler. And initially, when we drained the pan, I got out about 1.5 gallons. The total fill in this transmission is about 17 quarts. There's still a lot of fluid in that torque converter and in the body of the transmission. So when we start this up, we're going to put it in each gear for about 3 seconds. And we're going to go till we get a nice color change coming out of this hose. And we may have to do it twice with as dirty as that fluid is. We'll see how it turns out. So we're going to go ahead and start it up. Go ahead. Shut it out. Okay, the flow is starting to slow down on me there, so it's time to shut it off. You can see the fluid. I'm not quite happy with that yet. We're getting there, but I'm going to add some more because it's a big tranny. It holds a lot, a little over 4 gallons what it holds, and it's looking better. But I'm going to add some more fluid to it. And the other thing is, I overfilled it initially because all we're doing is pumping it through. It's not like we're driving down the road. So that excess fluid is we're just using that to flush out any of that old nasty fluid. So I'm going to put some more in, and we're going to start it up again. Okay, I refilled the tranny again, and we're going to start it up and finish this flush out. Go ahead and start it up. Okay, shut it out. All right. That there I'm pretty happy with. That's looking pretty good. Because right now I've got about 17 quarts in it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that cooler line back on. I'm going to check the transmission fluid level. And I'm going to get it filled back up, get it up to temp, and recheck the fluid level. But that looks a whole lot better than what we took out. And this fluid will last a whole lot longer than the other stuff that was in there and give you a whole lot better performance. So I'm happy with that. That's where we're going to stop at and button things up. Okay, I'm going to do a little color comparison here. This is the original fluid, and right there's the new stuff. Okay, when you fill this up and go to start it again, I check it with the engine off here first before I start it up. And I want the fluid level probably right in here just above the max with the engine off, because as you start that engine the fluid level is going to drop. Okay, so I want it about right in here before I start the engine. That means I have enough fluid in there to make everything work like it should. I can recheck it. Okay, it says max level hot, and you want it idling in neutral, because in park, there's no flow through that cooler. So in neutral you have flow through the cooler. Alright, so when we got it up to temp, we want it about right here at the top of the crosshatch marks. Okay, so show you what I got here. So right there's my fluid level I'm right there at the max with the engine off, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and start it up, and then we'll recheck it. Now you want to make sure you're on level ground, everything's level when you check it as well. So I flip it over and you can see right there about where the level's at. The other side here is kind of lying to me a little bit. That's about where we're at, so we're going to add a little bit more fluid to it. Right now I'm at about 19 quarts, so I'm going to say if you're going to do this transmission flush, you're going to need at least 5 gallons. So I'm going to add a little bit more here, and I'll take it for a drive. And when I get it up to temperature, I'm going to recheck it again, and I want it close to the top of this max level when it's up to temp. Thank you for watching my video. Be sure to check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/c/Donsoil. I'd like to introduce you to Amsoil synthetic lubricants. We have the most complete line of synthetic lubricants on the market that offer you greatly reduced wear, extended drain intervals, longer equipment life. You can check that out at my website, donsoil.com. I also have a website for looking up fluid capacities. It's fluidcapacity.com. You can go there and print off the capacity of your engine oil, cooling system, transmission, transfer case, differentials. Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Don Synthetic Lubes. Thank you and have a great day.